Many people think that to live a long life, you need to take a lot of supplements, eat expensive foods, or follow a strict exercise regimen. But the truth is much simpler, and sometimes completely the opposite of what you've believed. As you age, what matters isn't how much you add, but how much you remove. Old age is like a garden that's already full of flowers and leaves, and now it's time to trim and gently remove the excess, both in your body, lifestyle, and relationships. Have you ever wondered, are there things you're silently maintaining every day that are quietly shortening your lifespan? In today's video, we'll explore 4 things that, the sooner you avoid or reduce, the healthier your body will be, the clearer your mind will become, and the longer your life will last. Especially the last one. Many people don't think it's related to health, but it's actually something that erodes you from the inside out. Stay until the end, because you'll see, living a long life isn't hard, if you know how to live light. Before we begin, if you're committed to living a healthier, more fulfilling life, hit the like button to help spread this valuable knowledge. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to click subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a video. And if you're enjoying this content, comment 1 below to let me know you're here. If not, comment 0, and I'll work harder to bring you even better content. Let's dive in now. Number 1. Limit emotional eating. On a rainy day, you sit by the window, open your favorite pack of cookies, and nibble on them slowly. Not because you're hungry, but simply because you feel empty inside. There's no one to talk to this morning, the old radio is silent, and you just want to chew on something to feel like you're still doing something. If you see yourself in this image, then perhaps you're not alone. Emotional eating is something most of us have experienced, especially as we get older, have more free time, and fewer familiar connections. Sometimes we eat not to fill our stomachs, but to fill the emptiness inside. A late-night snack because you feel sad, a scoop of ice cream when you feel forgotten, or even a big meal simply because you don't know what else to do to get through the day. These seemingly harmless actions, when repeated daily, can become habits that slowly take a toll on your health. Because emotional eating is completely different from eating to nourish your body. When emotions guide us, we tend to choose easy foods, high in sugar, salt, or fat, because they trigger the pleasure centers in our brain. But after that moment of comfort, what remains is a heavy body, a growing waistline, rising blood pressure, and a lingering sense of guilt. Research from Harvard University shows that people who eat emotionally have a 30% higher risk of stroke compared to those who eat mindfully. This means that every time we replace a conversation, a hug, or a good night's sleep with food, we're adding a little more risk to our lives. I once knew an elderly woman who lived alone in a small apartment in the suburbs. Whenever she felt down, she would prepare a large spread of food, not to invite anyone, but to make the house feel less empty. After a few years, she developed diabetes and had to cut out everything she once enjoyed. What made her most upset wasn't the need to restrict her diet, but realizing she didn't need to be that lonely to fill the void with food. She just wished she had called a friend or taken a walk in the park instead of heading to the kitchen. So how can you avoid falling into that trap? The first thing isn't to stop snacking or force yourself into a strict eating regimen. It's about listening to yourself before you eat. Gently ask, am I really hungry, or am I just feeling down? Once you identify the emotion, instead of reaching for cookies, you could call someone or play some warm music. It's not always easy, but each time you do it, you're winning over yourself. You don't need anyone's help, no reminders. You can start with small steps. Instead of placing a whole bag of snacks on the table, put a warm cup of water. Instead of seeking sweets after a meal, try stepping out onto the balcony and taking a deep breath. These seemingly insignificant actions can have a huge impact if you do them mindfully. And once you're no longer driven by emotions in your eating, you'll feel lighter, your mind clearer, and joy no longer dependent on the refrigerator. And when should you begin? You'll probably know yourself. The next time your hand reaches for something, not because you're hungry, but because you feel empty. That's the moment you can pause, Smile gently and choose something else, something healthier, gentler, and truly nourishing for you. And then, the days ahead will start to feel different. You'll feel more in control, no longer led by your emotions. Meals will become satisfying because you truly need them, not to fill a gap. You'll find that you live with more purpose, not because you eat less, but because you understand what truly nourishes you. Kindness to your body and soul. 2. Avoid overusing electronic devices. You've probably had afternoons like this, turning on the TV while it's still daylight, scrolling through your phone while waiting for the commercials to end, then sitting still for another hour just to watch the next program that might be interesting. Your eyes feel a little tired, your back a bit stiff, but since there's nothing urgent, you keep sitting. And then, before you know it, it's suddenly dark outside. This habit may seem familiar, but it's quietly making your body sluggish and your mind dull. Our bodies are like a river. If the water doesn't flow, it becomes murky, stagnant, and smells. People are the same. When we sit too long, stare at screens, move little, don't talk to anyone, and don't change our environment, everything inside us starts to shut down without us even realizing it. Think about this. If you spend 4 to 5 hours a day on screens, TV, phone, tablet, in a year, that's over 1,500 hours, equivalent to 62 days without sleep. If you spent even a small part of that time walking, stretching, making tea, or talking to someone, you would have been pumping blood into both your body and mind. Scientists have enough evidence to confirm that sitting for long periods watching electronic devices increases the risk of heart disease, metabolic disorders, insomnia, and even cognitive decline in older adults. Specifically, the blue light from screens at night suppresses melatonin, the hormone that helps you sleep well. So if you're finding it hard to sleep, waking up tired, or feeling like your mind is foggy in the morning, the culprit might be right in front of you, in the palm of your hand. I once met a woman over 70 in San Diego who loved watching YouTube and scrolling through Facebook. She said, "I watch for fun so I don't feel lonely." But the more she watched, the less she called her friends, and the less she went outside for walks. Her eyesight worsened, her back hurt more, and her memory started to fade. It wasn't until her doctor asked her to check her sleep that she realized what she thought was her little joy was quietly draining her energy every day. So is there a way out? You don't need anyone to remind you. You can start with small things. For example, place a small clock next to your chair. Set a gentle alarm every 30 minutes to remind you to stand up, stretch your wrists, walk around the house, or simply step outside for a deep breath. When you're watching TV, try placing the remote further away, so every time you change the channel, you'll have to stand up. It's small, but incredibly effective. Or you could try limiting the number of programs you watch each day, and replace that time with something you once enjoyed but have forgotten, like sorting through old photos, listening to some classic music, calling an old friend, or sitting down to write a few lines in a journal. You don't need to completely quit, just take control, instead of letting the device pull you along endlessly. Eventually, you'll realize you start sleeping better, waking up feeling lighter, your shoulders no longer feel sore, and your eyes are less strained. Your body will thank you for not leaving it trapped in that chair all day, and your mind, which used to be sharp, will begin to come back, clearer, more agile, as if it's just been awakened. That change doesn't come from magic, but from the moment you decide to turn off the screen and turn your real life back on. Third, let go of long-standing resentment and anger. There are old things that, just by hearing a familiar name or a well-known phrase, your heart tightens. Not because it still hurts, but because you've kept it inside for so long. The frustration from back then, the words that hurt you, or the misunderstanding when no one stood by you, they no longer make you cry, but they still make you shrink every time you think of them. If you've ever silently held on to something like that, then maybe now is the time to listen to what your body is telling you. Because over time, it's not the wrinkles or gray hair that age us faster. It's the unresolved negative emotions like anger, resentment, and prolonged disappointment that we hold inside. Science has shown that people who live with prolonged anger have higher cortisol levels, the stress hormone that harms the heart, disrupts the immune system, affects sleep, and most importantly, damages memory. A psychological study published in the journal Aging and Mental Health found that older adults who regularly carry anger are twice as likely to experience cognitive decline as those who know how to let go. I remember a friend of mine, over 70, living alone after her husband passed away. She once shared with me, "I'm still angry at my mother-in-law, angry at my sisters-in-law, who used to talk about me this way and that." Every time she mentioned it, her eyes would light up with frustration, as if the event had just happened. But what was striking was that she had no one left to be angry at. Those people were either gone or distant. Only she remained, and the quiet anger followed her like a shadow with every tired step. She often had headaches, couldn't sleep, had memory problems, and lacked interest in doing anything. It wasn't until her daughter suggested she try writing down everything that had upset her, not to send it to anyone, but simply to release it from her heart, that, after a few weeks, she said something I'll never forget. "After I wrote it down, I felt my heart lighten a little, like I could breathe after a long dream." The truth is, letting go is not about forgiving others. It's about setting yourself free. You don't need to make a call to reconcile. You don't need to pretend like you were never hurt. You just need to choose stillness over confrontation. It could be one morning when you sit down to write a few lines in a journal. Or maybe it's a moment when you look at the sky and quietly say, "I've let go." You don't need anyone's help. You don't need your children or others to understand how you feel. You only need to understand that keeping something negative inside for many years will never make you stronger. What you need to keep is peace of mind, and for all the scars, let the wind of time heal them. And when should you start? Perhaps when you find yourself bringing up an old issue with the same emotion. That's when you'll realize the wound hasn't healed, but you can be the first to gently place a hand on it. The day you choose to forgive, not for them, but for yourself, is the day you begin to live lighter, sleep better, and remember more clearly what really matters. The inner peace that's far more precious than any apology that never came. 4. Stay away from toxic, energy-draining relationships. There are relationships where, after every encounter, you go home feeling more exhausted than after shopping in the heat of midday. Not because you argued or raised your voice, but simply because you didn't feel heard, valued, or able to be yourself. Some people may criticize you gently with phrases like, "I'm saying this for your own good," while others compare you to someone better, younger, or happier. Whether they are old friends, relatives, or even your children or grandchildren, their presence sometimes makes you feel smaller, wrong, or so tired that you don't want to say anything more. If this sounds familiar, you might be maintaining a toxic relationship, one that you thought you should just endure because you've known them for so long. But in reality, it's slowly draining your mental energy every day. And here's the important thing. As we grow older, mental health becomes even more important. A study from Stanford University shows that older adults with positive, healthy relationships live on average 7 to 10 years longer than those who are in stressful relationships full of conflict. Imagine this. Every time you talk to someone, instead of feeling lighthearted, you feel like you have to put on a show, smile to please them, and hold back to avoid tension. Doing this once is fine, twice too. But if it keeps happening, it becomes a habit. And that habit makes you more tired, withdraw, and eventually, you no longer care to connect at all. I remember an elderly woman named Margaret in California, over 70 years old, kind and gentle, but living under the subtle control of her eldest daughter. Every time Margaret went somewhere, ate something, or did anything, her daughter would remind her like a child, "Why are you eating that? Don't call people so much, it's a waste of money." Or, "Do you know people are busy at this time?" It didn't seem malicious, but over time, it made Margaret hesitant to call anyone or make her own decisions. It wasn't until a close friend suggested she try keeping a light distance, meaning calling less, only sharing positive things, and spending more time with that friend, that Margaret realized, turns out, I can choose to feel lighter. You don't have to cut ties or make a big deal out of it. Sometimes you just need to speak less with the person who drains you and speak more with the ones who make you feel valued. Remember, everyone has the right to keep their peace of mind, even if the person making you tired is a family member. You don't need anyone's permission to choose tranquility. And you can do this on your own. You don't need to wait for someone to help, and you don't have to make up or clear the air. You just need to quiet yourself during those calls that make you tense and spend more time with the people who make you smile, even if it's just through a text message, a brief call, or a simple walk. We usually know exactly where to start. It's just that we hesitate. But your body can't wait forever. Your mind can't either. If tomorrow morning you wake up and feel a heaviness in your heart when thinking about someone, that's a signal. Not to hate, but to keep the lightness for yourself. And then, you'll see your life change. Not loudly, but warmer. You'll find yourself laughing more naturally, eating more happily, sleeping deeper, simply because you're no longer enduring anyone. You don't need to be the most loved person. You just need to be the one who knows how to love the peace of your own heart. And from there, all other connections will naturally heal or drift away. There is a gentle but profound truth. Living a long life is not just about medicine or genetics, but about the choices you make every day. Do you choose to eat because you need to, or because you're feeling down? Do you choose to sit for hours in front of a screen, or do you stand up and walk around the house for a while? Do you choose to hold on to an old issue, or write it down to give your heart some peace? Do you choose to keep enduring a relationship that drains you, or do you take a step back to preserve your peace? As you age, your body doesn't need as many new things, but your mind needs cleaning out. What you let go of today could be what extends your years of health, wisdom, and ease tomorrow. No one can live your life for you, and no one understands your body, emotions, limits, and desires better than you. Allow yourself to live simply, to shed the things that weigh you down, so that as each day passes, you don't feel regret. If this video resonates with you, leave a comment with the number 1, hit like, subscribe, and share it with your loved ones, because perhaps this is the gift of health, awareness, and peace that everyone is seeking, no matter what age they are. You deserve to live long and to live lightly.